Steve, I happy to announce I'm going to re-enroll at Penn State. Here's why. Gotten into fly fishing. Have an absolute blast doing it, but I'm very terrible at it. So would
If you're
like
having a blast, you're not doing it wrong.
would like to, what's another 40,000 in student debt at this point?
You could probably audit it, right? Like as an alum, they probably with that class, they probably don't let you do that.
Yeah, I'd probably be like 40th on the list at best. My Disney Lion Club points wouldn't rank me high enough.
But there's a separation between athletics and academics. You wouldn't need to do that.
That's true. Anyways, yes, we were just talking the trees. I woke up sniffly this morning. Not sick, but definitely the trees are blooming. So it's time to, for spring. Which means that we've got a podcast. I don't know why that means we have a podcast. We do it 365.
We changed seasons. There you go. We've changed seasons.
We're gonna wrap up a season today.
We're changing a season. There you go.
The name of this podcast, Stuff Summer Says, with
Steve.
We matched tonight. I didn't realize we. Does yours smell weird?
No, I wash it.
Mine smells like chemically.
No, it's a no.
Okay.
No.
All right. I don't like how thin these ones are. Next year we'll do a little bit thicker ones.
V2. I got to bump up my wardrobe. That's great.
Yeah. Anyways, this is gonna be a great episode. It's us hanging out talking about. I think we can talk about some men's hockey. I want to broadly talk about the athletic year. I feel like we're kind of, at least for the core sports that you and I quote unquote cover. We've kind of hit our end of the year there. And then we also want to talk about the fact that we're rolling out the Hall of Fame. I have all of that information for you, and we hope that you will participate once again because I appreciated that last year. So did Steve. Let's begin with Penn State men's hockey, who wrapped up its season with a 3-1 loss to Minnesota-Duluth on Friday night in the NCAA Tournament. I think you and I have talked about this. We've talked about this the second that Gavin McKenna was a little bit more than rumored of coming to Penn State. And we go back now almost a year and a half, at least a year, close to a year now at this point. This was always a fascinating year for Penn State men's hockey. It was always going to be a fascinating year for Penn State men's hockey because, as you wrote today very well, I thought it was a great piece. Last year was the year for transformation. Last year was the year for putting them on the map, for changing the way, as we've talked about ad nauseum at this point, changing the way we all collectively talk about Penn State men's hockey. This year was a massive, fascinating, interesting gamble of what money can do in some ways, what changing philosophy on NIL can do. Do I think it worked? Yes. Do I think it has had interesting consequences in terms of how people view Penn State men's hockey, especially some of the rhetoric in the immediacy after Friday night? Yeah, I think that also had a play, and we can discuss that. I think this is, for all intents and purposes, I think this was an interesting year because the program, I don't know that it grew. I don't think it took a step back, but it had to think in a lot of different ways. It had to be critical of itself and now has to kind of feel this all out of how it moves forward. And I think that's what made this year so interesting to me.
Yeah, and in listening to the aftermath with Coach Godowski leaning into the transformation storyline, which, while I respect him immensely over and over, I just think that was last year. The change piece, the dealing with expectations piece was new. And I think some of that was, I don't know anything. I just feel self-inflicted in some ways, or not that they overthought it, but maybe they didn't know how much was coming with it, right? That from the Godowski podcast to, although they did a great job locally dealing with Gavin, I don't know what they said no to or had to accommodate that we just didn't see. So I think that was what I heard them saying was like, hey, there were just more with this circus but I don't think people saw as much of it publicly. Maybe people expected more from it, going back to some of the reaction after the loss. But I didn't, I guess. I mean, we talked about get this from the beginning. They invested in Gavin McKenna and Jackson Smith and the other CHL players that they brought in. If that was an investment to win more, they were doing all of that to win 2 more games. And I don't think that was ever a good Vegas, ironically, in a Vegas year. That wasn't a good Vegas approach. Like, the money wasn't in your favor. Had they not been hurt, would the Duluth thing turned out better? Maybe, maybe. But Duluth was higher ranked than them to begin with. I mean, so it's not a huge upset. I mean, I get it. I get that they had the talent to win that game. But I don't think it was a terrible year. The scary thing, and I hinted at it a little bit in what I wrote, the scary thing is they're really good. They might not be elite. And that's something you might not want hanging around your neck at this school, but I think they've got several more years of that till that becomes an actual problem.
I think there's several things there very correct that you said. I think let's talk about the immediacy of the game. I think that's a good place to start. We can swing back to the expectations and all of that. I thought Penn State played well. I thought that going into that game, they pretty much would have to have played darn near perfect. And they for the most part did, except for 2 small mistakes. It was Jackson Smith missing the puck lift or the stick lift on the back door, and then the turnover between Gavin McKenna and Reese Laubach there in the defensive zone. And I think when I think about how this season went, and I think what happened last year is a good example of this, and what happens really anytime you see it in championship hockey. And I think we can kind of see this with all the teams left in the field in the Frozen Four, Wisconsin being maybe the flag bearer for this, is at some point down the stretch, they have a moment where things just click for them, and then they go. And Penn State never had that. They never had that this season. And we talked about this even back football season. We talked about this of were we concerned? We're concerned because they were finding an identity, and they eventually found the identity there, especially after Aiden Fink came back. But then they lost it again when Charlie Serrato got hurt or Dane Doyak got hurt. And I think all of that stopping and starting, that is the risk of going back to the Vegas thing. That is the risk of particularly single game elimination hockey, that a lot of things have to fall where they do. And I think for me, I think that's why it's a disappointing end to the season. It's disappointing for the expectations, and I can understand that. But also not surprising because we literally, like I said, we've spent a year talking about this now almost, or at least 8 months. So I think that's interesting. I think for me, the other thing to think about, and I wonder, I don't know that Guy would ever say this, but and I don't know if any of the players that were there last year, we have talked about Penn State men's hockey more on this show than any other Penn State podcast. I feel confident in saying that. But we have specifically from January 1 of 2025 to now, which is almost 18 months or 16 months of nonstop talking. I mean, we went from the run to the Frozen Four, to the Frozen Four itself, to Gavin McKenna, to the season starting with Gavin McKenna. Oh, by the way, we're going to throw an outdoor game in there. There's going to be an outdoor game. I have to wonder if as all of this is built down, they have to be exhausted. We see this anytime. You're seeing it with the Panthers right now. They went to 2 back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals, 1-2. They were exhausting. The Lightning, it happened with them a few years ago. I think I have to wonder how much that waned and wore on them. And then, of course, all the off-the-ice distractions and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, there was the Gavin legal stuff along with the off-the-ice stuff, plus the spit and chicklets coming to town and everybody wanting a piece of what was going on. So I think it's the stuff we didn't see, and that's what's interesting when you offer the explanations publicly about what happened. Hey, here's the postmortem. Here's what we did. We learned a lot. And it's hard, I think, for fans or even people who are trying to cover it to get a glimpse of or understanding of what those things were, because you don't see some of the things they did or dealt with because they shielded it. It just, that summary of 18 months on, the sports are never off anymore, but they were on in a way that they hadn't been before. So I think that's the learning thing is, and I think the interesting thing will be, do they continue to take that approach? Because the investment in the star, Matt McKenna showing up, Jackson Smith coming, Jackson Smith apparently staying. Like, do you find and invest in the next great player or players? And some of them may already be close to on the roster, but do you lean into that again more as you rebuild this roster in the offseason? Or are you comfortable with, and I've used this term and gotten pushback from Guy, but I'll still use it, a more, it's not blue collar, but a more workmanlike approach, a more one half of a star, two a star less of level of player, but you get the team. Not this wasn't a team, but there are differences that come with that kind of approach. So I think that'll be fun to watch.
I've been thinking about that particularly, and I think that's part of the Gavin McKenna of it all. And I think maybe even when we talked about that in the season and I wrote about that, I think I brought this up. Like this, in some ways now between him and particularly Jackson Smith, these are all intents and purposes. I know they had 2 players that signed today, and they've had a litany of players that signed, and they've had 3 make the NHL. But those are the first 2 going to be regulars in the NHL, I think, or I'm pretty confident of that, right? And then I think about how the college hockey landscape is shifting. And we heard Danny Briere today talking about Porter Martone and how they loved that he went to Michigan State as opposed to the CHL for a year because he got to develop against better quality players and content and just experience a little bit different of an approach than the CHL. And I think that is the interesting piece of this for all of the doors that Gavin McKenna and now Jackson Smith have opened up. And I think in some ways, I think what happens with Jackson Smith and maybe even Charlie Serrato is going to be more interesting than Gavin McKenna, who was just coming here to play here and that was about it. Like get some exposure at the NCAA level so that he can go be a little bit more prepared. Because I think you look at like that's what kind of sort of what Austin Matthews did, right? He played juniors and then he went to Davos to play in Davos and then went to the NHL just to have a upscale of competition. I think that's a interesting domino. And I think going back to what you wrote today, like if they can build that foundation, because that foundation has not been there, and that's the next foundation they maybe do need to build, then I think they are year in and year out a national championship contender, and not trying to catch lightning in a bottle the same way that they did last year, or maybe even to a degree this year. Although obviously a much deeper, more talented roster. I don't know that it was deeper, especially as they dealt with all the injuries.
And I think that investment or creating that foundation keeps you on again, keeps you dealing with expectations, keeps you dealing with those things, because the competition for those top players is only going to get more difficult. We've seen it. Mercyhurst drops the program because it can't afford to compete. This is a money related thing, but I don't know that it's unrelated. None of the teams from the Boston area, which are not, they might be hockey schools, but they aren't big budget athletic schools, were in the tournament. The Frozen Four has big budget athletic schools, or hockey is their sport schools at this point. So I think that's where you need to be, and Penn State is capable of being there. So it will be interesting to see if they say, okay, cool, we had the presumptive number one overall this last year. We're going to find another number one somewhere that goes with Jackson Smith if he's back. And shame on the media, me included, raising my hand. Someplace sometime in November, I think it was November, before Davos, Jackson Smith met at a weekly thing and talked about his year, and it felt like an offhand BSing. Yeah, this year, however long I'm here, next couple of years, it's going to be great. And I was like, did he just say that? And didn't really follow up because it felt like, that's just what you say. Turns out maybe not. So that'll be interesting if that's how it plays out.
Well, and I think he is I think he's looked at times as he was the best player on Penn State's roster this year at
Yeah.
times. I think, McKenna put up the points and all of those things, and I think McKenna will end up being the better player. But there were times when Jackson had the puck on his stick and he just kind of took over the game in a different way than what Gavin
Right.
McKenna was able to do. And I think that's a big foundation. We'll see. I think next year is going to be interesting. They didn't lose much to graduation, all things considered. But maybe more of the leadership, I think, is a big thing that they lose there. Kevin Radler today, he signed. So he signed with Ottawa, and then the semi-surprise one was Matt DeMarsico signing with the Avalanche. It's probably the first, not surprising if you've been paying attention, but like, oh yeah, this is a problem now. Like that he's gone.
Yeah, no, good for him, but I
Yeah.
kind of expected him to be back in kind of a foundational piece.
Right, exactly. And then we'll see what happens with Aiden Fink. I think he's getting close to his rights being up, and Nashville having his rights, and it certainly looked like at times this season he was playing at a different level that he doesn't need college hockey anymore. It's going to be an interesting offseason to see what of the core stays around. But I also think they benefit from, even if DeMarco is gone and Finkley ends up leaving, and I don't know who else might potentially leave. Like, I think they have a core next year that, between the experience they got the first year at the Frozen Four, this year of kind of a disappointment, to understanding some more expectations, understanding what it takes, all of those things. I think they can rebound nicely. Like, I don't think this is a 2-year window that's gone.
No, I think that's the one thing they have done. The freshman class that came in this year is really good and deep and talented and just didn't play as. I mean, Luke and Lisa Chabon on them, like they're going to be fine-ish. They're going to need to add some pieces, and how they add those pieces will, I think, reflect on what the program's identity is going to be and what they want it to be.
I think that's fair.
So their struggles this year impacted how you feel about the year for the athletic program,
well,
or the way they finished.
Let's head in that direction. I think the statement was true before puck drop on Friday night, and it was just slightly more true by whatever time the game ended. It was really late, like 11:30. I think this has been a massively disappointing year for Penn State athletics. I think this may be the most disappointing year for Penn State athletics in 10 years plus. And that includes years where they didn't win national titles at all, right? Like I think what was it, a couple years ago, they didn't win one because wrestling didn't win one. I think from the way everybody left Hard Rock Stadium to how the football season then just went, to the fact that basketball programs have not been relevant, to what, more or less 4 coaches getting fired, I think, at this point, to all of these other things, for men's hockey having massive expectations, and I think the outdoor game, regardless of the outcome, was amazing, but them losing, like, it was a little bit of like a cherry stinging there. I think Penn State baseball has underachieved for how the season has gone, and I don't know. We talked about basketball. I mean, wrestling, great. Wrestling did what it's supposed to do, but that's not that impressive. I mean, it is, but it isn't. I think this has been maybe one of the most disappointing athletic years all around for performance. Women's volleyball, another team that did not achieve.
Soccer.
Women's soccer probably didn't achieve what it set out to do this year. I don't know. There are very few positive stories. I have a couple of them, but I don't know that there are, unlike last year when they won all those national titles, and Katie has her great story, and Tyler Warren and all these other things.
Terry Smith was a great story for a hot minute in the fall.
Sure.
You're over that?
Great.
Oh, you are over that. Oh, wow.
I
So let me ask this:
Go ahead.
how much of your disappointment level? And I there's a part of me that thinks you're right, although I think the only person that suffers as a result of this is Pat Kraft, who might have performance bonuses for the teams in his contract as a result. How much of this is self-inflicted, if anything? How much of the expectations is self-inflicted because the message is we're going to compete for national championships, that's what we're going to do? Like, I know that's what you're supposed to say, but is any of it, or is it just it's clear that the football team sucked, that was bad and it imploded and that was public and not good? The basketball teams aren't relevant. Baseball's been less good than they were the past couple of years, and they thought they were turning the corner. You got the bad PR with Sue and the Spikes, if you want to pile on to the disappointing.
The leaked audio.
The leaked audio.
The naming rights to the field.
But let me go back because I wasn't with you at first, but now okay.
See, like
but,
it's.
But is a portion of it self-inflicted because it's championships or bust mentality?
I'm trying to think of the politically correct way to answer this.
Yeah, because that's what we do here.
I think a lot of it feels very much. It feels like there is pressure on the athletic program from the top, which is the top being Pat Kraft, in a way that we have never experienced in a multitude of fashions. And I think just on things we've heard and how tense it can be to work in the athletic department and how winning is the number one priority and all of these other things, that all isn't always the best approach. And I think a lot of that expectation pressure caused everything that happened this year, or a lot of things that happened this year, football being the flag bearer for that, right? Like, football has that Oregon game. We're going to beat Oregon. This is going to be the moment. We're going to get over this hump. We're gone. We're going to a national championship. And then we basically watch the same game that we watched back in January to Notre Dame again, right? Like, more or less. And I think the way that cracked, and I think even with the hockey situation, of the fact that there was a lot of pressure on this team to a point which they've never experienced before in a different way. And I don't know how you handle that and the way it all shook out. Like, I don't know how you prepare for that better, or what you do. There's that. And there's a lot of
women's team reached the women's team reached the Frozen Four. You hosted a cool event.
So that's, let me save that for a second.
Okay.
I think there's all this bravado of beating on our chest that we've raised all this money and we have all these great facilities and all these other things, and it just feels like if this is what we're investing in, there should be results tied to that, and it doesn't feel like there are results tied to that. And then in other areas, we're just not investing at all. Basketball feeling like one of them. So I think that is why. Now, I did say, and I did promise, there are bright spots, and I think the brightest spot is Tessa Janicki, and I think it's the women's team, the women's hockey team. I think that's my leader in the clubhouse for Penn State Sports Person of the Year. I think Terry's probably number 2. I do think Terry's staying and showing love at a time for a me culture of self, and him showing love for Penn State and embracing that, and going through the process of taking the interview and but not getting hired, but still wanting to stay on because he wants to grow Penn State. I think that was great. But I think the women's team, at least reaching the Frozen Four, and particularly just Tessa Janicki and the way she played and the way she handled it and how she probably should have got more attention. I think she to me is the brightest star of it all. I really, and it feels like there's not much else. I don't know what else would I be missing.
Does it? No, I think you're right. I mean, I think it's a disappointment. When you first said, I would talk about the disappointment of the year, I'm like, really? I mean, you got a national championship in wrestling, you got Frozen Four with the women, you had an outdoor game for hockey, but your flag bearer sports, football and the basketballs and volleyball and women's soccer, like the sports that nationally ring true, like even women's, even softball, right? It's just not there yet. those
They're
programs
doing okay this year. But
but I'm saying they're not there yet on the national level.
Right.
Those programs that an athletic program is judged by its bellwether sports, though those struggled. But it's I'm asking, is it largely disappointing, or is it dumpster fire disappointing? It's not dumpster fire disappointing, is it?
It's not dumpster fire. No, okay, we're not there yet. It would take 2 years of this, I think, for me to get to that point.
And then there'd have to be less giving. I mean, I think dumpster fire bad would be like if there was some indication that they weren't giving and raising money and keeping the stadium project going along or some crazy thing like that.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with that, but I think the attitude towards the fan feels like a problem in this, right? Like getting for example, like it's dumb and naive, but it's getting something as simple as the parking passes sent in a FedEx envelope, nothing else in it. How hard would it be to throw in the old magnet schedule like they used to do? Or the prices going up in the stadium with the food, or all of those things as they compound. And I think, especially as the stadium, this next wave gets done, and then the renovation is complete in 2027, like if costs go up for the average fan and like all of these other things, I think if it all compounds with another year of meh performance, because I think that's the technical term of what this was.
Okay, so this is meh. Okay. But football diehards are now thrilled with Matt Campbell. He reached out to the Letterman this past weekend. It was a great event. Happy, joy. I mean,
I don't disagree with that. But go ahead.
Well, I don't know if that's what I'm perceiving, but I'm also, that feels like it's always the percent. Like nobody was tired of James Franklin doing what he did until they got tired of it. Like Susan has this pair of shoes that she says is comfortable until they're not, right? And it felt like James Franklin had 6 or 8 years of comfortable until it wasn't. And he did that stuff, right? I mean, he did the Letterman, he did this stuff. I mean, everybody now looks back and says it was calculated and it was whatever else. And meanwhile, Matt Campbell has this all shucks, down to earth mentality, or down to low key mentality that people are leaning into, that everybody's kind of differentiating, but it still feels like the same playbook being executed by somebody that just is different, that they're getting grace for, which is interesting to me. So what would salvage it? That was a ramble by me. Let me go back to your question. What would, if the men's lacrosse team makes a run to the championship weekend?
Lacrosse would be good. I think lacrosse winning a national championship would be something very tangible towards them salvaging the season.
Okay.
I think that's a semi-flag bearing sport in some way.
What about blue-white weekend? What about a really good fan-focused, I know I'm saying something that's not going to happen. I mean, because you're making the face.
You already answered it.
Blue-white weekend, like this access the program, do some tours, do some things that are free that they've never done before. I don't know what those are, but they've got a whole staff of people who can think that up, some of which may still be listening at this point of this week. Like, could something like that change? Because there are tangible things that you're frustrated with in your meh disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
But there are some feel-good customer service things that we're missing too, it sounds like. So is that something that they could pretty up in the next month and a half and make people feel better that are in the same boat as you, or not?
I think the Campbell thing itself, of just getting to see Matt Campbell, I think that'll take care of the job. I don't think.
Okay.
I think people also recognize that the stadium's going to be a borderline disaster, or not disaster, but a mess, a hot mess, as it was last year for Blue White, because it's undergoing the renovation. So I don't know that there's something like that. I think above all, just having that would be good. I mean, I do think one thing you did say, like, I think the Matt Campbell thing is a good example of like how this could have gone a lot worse, right? Like if the Kalani Satake thing happens or doesn't happen, and then Campbell ends up with, or Kraft ends up with Matt Patricia as the head coach, like that whole process. I think, to me though, I think the newness of Matt Campbell helps. I also believe, just based on that introductory press conference and the way he talked in what was it, last Monday now, about just how the experience in the first couple weeks and months now, I think he genuinely just loves that he has access to like the archive of Penn State football. And I think that is genuine and sincere, because I think he's just such a football person that I struggle and I struggle with him controlling the program the way James Franklin controlled the program, one. But two, I don't think we're seeing that just based on the content that Penn State is putting out on its social media channels, for example, and things like that.
Yeah, and I believe, my guess is, I don't know, well, maybe it's both, that this job is better than Matt Campbell thought it was in some ways. I mean, this is, again, it's been 40 years without a national championship, and I have pointed that out here before and written before. But there's a lot here, from the size of the stadium, the loyalty of the fan base, the way that people want to connect. And I always chafe a little bit, having been to the South and talked to people from other schools, about when Penn Staters say, "Oh, there's no place like ours." Everybody thinks that about their place. But Matt Campbell hasn't been in a place like this. Mm-hmm. I mean, and no matter what the people say, no matter what the people say in Iowa State, they are in the SEC, so it's totally different, obviously. So there's that, right? Like there is, even though you say your school is, I think coming here is different. I think he's probably finding resources and support that maybe he didn't know did existed, even though he did his due diligence, hopefully, when getting hired. And I'm sure we helped Pat Kraft make sure he got hired after forgot about the coaching search thing that would add to your disappointment kind of stuff. So.
Okay.
A women's basketball coach, I think, is a good thing. Like
I think it's a good positive.
I think that was a home run.
I do.
I think already seeing the roster moves and the expectations, it's clearly going to be her team, and I think her team is a good thing.
Well, and I
think
when
it starts winning,
I think what was frustrating about the process of how they landed on Matt Campbell is what made the Tanisha Wright process so enjoyable. For so long, Tanisha Wright has been the obvious hire, and I think it was John Stauber maybe who wrote this, of like, she wanted the job back when it came open after Coquise, but just didn't have the resume, like enough years of experience to be ready for that situation. And I think that was an easy obvious win, and the Campbell thing could have been an easy, obvious win had they figured that out a little bit more smoothly and a little bit more obviously. And maybe the story about the whole phone number and having the wrong agent and all of that thing didn't get out, right? But that's what made that process so burdensome, that the Tanisha Wright situation of, we had heard that the hire had been in place pretty much by the time the Keeger press release went out. Like, I think that made life a little bit better. I think that was a good way of handling it.
And that's the way it should. I mean, if you're organized, that's ideally the way you'd like it to happen, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you? You are less fan than I am, but do you at least understand disappointing?
Oh, no, I can get it. Like, when you texted me first, I'm like, oh, man, I have to get him out of talk some therapy out of his tree. This is horrible. But then you start thinking through it. Yeah. But I do think some of it's, what I asked before, is it self-inflicted? Some of it is, it's still from the athletic department side, people still came to football games. Nobody goes to basketball games, so there's no revenue there. But there's still, my sense would be they're still probably hitting some financial goals and attention goals and things like that. So maybe to them it doesn't quite feel as disappointing. But at the same time, even Stanford, right, in the Big Ten, in the big Pac-10, 12 days, when it was winning Learfield Cups and championships and whatever else with all of its sports, and it was winning championships in like water polo or something else that helped it get rankings points. Penn State's 4 national championships that the media did not make up. No, we didn't make up. The athletic director said 4 national championships this year. They were going to be always in tough sports to win national championships. So there's that. I think aspirational is good. I think saying stuff to get to it is good. But I think some of that disappointment gets set up by really high expectations. And then the others be, well, why don't you want a high expectations? Aspire. Okay, yeah. Then the downside of that is you're sitting here end of March, early April with one national championship that you almost would have had to have something horrific happen to not have happened. And people are disappointed.
And I think that is my gripe with not gripe. I don't know if it's a gripe is the right word, but that is my feeling about the like couple, because I said something like that and a couple people pointed out, well, what about wrestling in their national championship? They spend the most money of any wrestling program. Of course, like they're supposed to win a national championship. That's what they're supposed to do for a host of reasons. And I think, to your point, the 4 thing, I wonder. I mean, maybe you and I feel like I've said at times I feel like you and I are the only ones that talk about that or have inflated that. But I wonder, had that cat not gotten out of the bag in some ways, or he hadn't done that interview with LeVar, like, are we? I think the expectations wouldn't be as aggressive or disappointing. Missed.
And this goes to your previous discussions about the AD and probably my wanting to place him over here in an administrator role as opposed to chief cheerleader role, right? I think if those two don't cross, the expectations are different.
No.
And I think an athletic director can be as supportive as his program and fight for his people and do whatever else, and doesn't have to be front and center and then say, well, wait, I don't want to be front and center. Well, but that's just not how it's been playing out. So
I think that's fair. Okay. That was good. That's a good discussion. Let's briefly wrap up here by explaining to you, our listener or viewer, how we are going to do this year's Hall of Fame. So we are going to elect another Hall of Fame class. It will have less people because it's our second year of doing this, and we don't want to have to do 17 people because we don't have as much time to catch up on now. But we will take the nominations and votes from last year. So for anybody that basically didn't make the cut, that those go into a spreadsheet more or less. Then we are also going to open up a nomination form. So if you let's take a name, Paul Plesney. That was a name that a lot of people suggested, but he didn't make the Hall of Fame. If he had 10 votes last year and Steve enters Paul Plesney as one of the names that he thinks should be nominated, he now has 11 votes. The top 15 vote getters out of that poll, the new poll, which could be infinite, could be a big poll, will be our nominees. And then we will leave it to you all to vote. We will do 8 in this class, and no more than 4 from one sport, aka football. Eligibility rules remain the same. You had to have been, if you're a coach, you have to be 1 year removed. So James Franklin still would have to, in theory, wait till next year. However, we have editorial control over that.
Wait, he wouldn't be eligible?
Till next year, not till next year.
Okay. Just checking. Oh, I thought I was going the editorial control route.
Well, no, I mean, he's eligible, but, might be a Bill Belichick situation. And athletes...
It's not a history. It's not an unbiased Hall of Fame. It's just our Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Athletes 4 years removed.
So no Tessa Janicki.
No Tessa Janicki to your one friend that goes to all the women's hockey games.
Yep. Jason will be okay.
So there's that. A reminder, they need to be sports related. We had Fran Fisher in, for example, last year, so media members also included. However, we care primarily emphasis on their contributions to Penn State, either while they were an athlete or like Franco's a good example of just being a Penn Stater, all around Penn Stater, right? Not necessarily for what he did though in the NFL. So not their pro career, their college career, or how they impact Penn State. Maybe is a better way to say that. Questions, comments, concerns?
No, I'm looking forward to see what people. I'm excited about. I'm excited to have a second year. This is the only place you're going to find the Hall of Fame second year in a row. We'll get 8 people after we get the 15 or so nominations to vote. Tell a friend, get names in. I think it'll be fun to do.
Yeah. So yeah, we will. By the time you're listening to this, the nomination form should be live on the site. Yeah, and we will do this for 2 weeks, I think, and then the final week before Blue White, we will have the voting, and then on the podcast, we will unveil the week leading into Blue White who is in. Couple any early nominees for you? No, we talked about a couple last year.
Susan Robinson should pick up votes. I mean, I think of all the places that, I don't think it was an injustice, but I think when you got the Women's Basketball Player of the Year in your program and the way she carried the program, I think she's probably, I guess I'd be surprised if she doesn't make the 15, and I'd be hopeful that she made the 8, perhaps. So
Kelly Mazzani comes to mind for me.
Oh, she didn't make the cut last year? Okay, that's true. Okay, so 2 women's basketball players might be interesting. I mean, honestly, but both might be deserving.
Yeah. Bill Jeffrey, we didn't get in.
Yeah, it's going to be getting to 8 will be fun. So vote a lot. Maybe we'll have ties and have to expand it. We'll see.
And then next year for year 3, we are going to go down to 4 only. So it'll be a razor.
Wow. Iron Fist. This could be the Iron Fist, the Penn State Iron Fist Hall of Fame.
With the acronyms already long enough. So.
Good Lord.
Okay. That's this week's podcast. Thanks for listening to Steve and I talk through the men's hockey season and athletic year, and it's not over. But yeah.
We got old guy, young guy, and a taste test left. Which one do you want to do first?
I'm sorry. We do have old guy, young guy. I almost forgot. I laughed immediately when you texted me you're old guy, young guy. So we have to do that one.
So my question is about, and I just saw one of these going down the street, but it is interesting to me. Electric bikes, old guy, young guy. I see old guys probably have them, but I guess at what age, let me ask you that, at what age should you be allowed to use an e-bike?
Oh, I thought you were going to say what age, like, do you have to stop? Because I think it's.
Oh, go ahead.
I think you pretty much only get like 11, 12 to like 17.
Oh wow! So no old people on e-bikes, like not like
nobody like able to vote should be on an e-bike.
Wow, you need to go trail riding someday then, because all those people are on e-bikes. We did a trail ride last fall in Alexandria, like a nice walking trail, the lower trail, like out in Alexandria. I think we were the only people.
What's the
among
point?
The 4 dozen. Thank you. I am sitting there pedaling, not hard. It's flat. It's just a nice, relaxing ride, pedaling, and people are going by me, pedaling a little bit because they got their e-bikes. You're not on a bike ride.
No,
you're just on a ride.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
No.
If you have some physical disability or something, okay, maybe. But I'm amazed. Like, we're there to get some exercise, and other people are just there to ride, and I don't understand that. So, but I'm of the age, I guess we should be doing that. But it doesn't make sense to me.
What about how do you feel about the scooters? I was a big pro scooter guy, and now I'm not anymore.
What are the scooters?
The electric scooters, like in DC for like before COVID.
Oh yeah, no, because people don't know how to do that stuff. No, people they're like plastic bags. People don't know how to pick them up.
Yeah,
like they don't know how to put them back where they got them. Yeah. So no.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I think you should pretty much just take a regular bike if you're old enough to take a regular bike. I can understand if you were particularly a male teen, the appeal of an e-bike, right? Because I would have had one.
I wasn't even going there. I was thinking old people that do them. So, okay, great. So we have 2 generations or 3 generations of people we don't think should be allowed to ride e-bikes. That's great. Yeah. Look at us.
All right.
Okay, you ready? I got the second kind.
Oh, you did get a cake. Oh, you did. Oh, you.
I got the white chocolate macadamia nut Kale's cookie to try. You tried the chocolate chip.
Are these? Did you get the 6-pack?
Yeah, there were 6. Yes, 6 little packages.
$25.
Yeah.
Not cheap.
Yeah. No.
Can we?
And I'm not. Go ahead.
Can we see the cookie?
It's a big cookie. The big white chocolate chips.
Do you see the green color I'm talking about?
It's got a green color. You're right. You're right. There's a section of I-70 that's kind of green too. If you look at the highway. Yes, the kind of green, nice and thick, 1/4 inch thick plus. I don't think that white chocolate is actually chocolate.
You were very fired up about that when you said this.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that this is the second flavor because I'm really not sure. We'll see.
I should have ordered the first flavor. Is it soft?
It's soft, but not too soft.
Mm-hmm.
It's not dry, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like breaks apart, good texture. Okay.
Like it's not bad, right? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, $6 or $4, whatever, $5 a piece, bad or good, but not bad.
Are they now? Is it just the white chocolate? Are there nuts in it?
No, there's macadamia nuts in it.
Okay.
White chocolate, macadamia nuts, all kinds of good. What's in here? Protein. I need my reading glasses. 9 grams of protein.
That's about all the cookie you're going to be able to eat. I'm going to warn you now. If you had dinner tonight, that's about half the cookie is all you need.
And it may be I'll save the rest for tomorrow. Like I don't need to eat a whole cookie. It's close to bedtime and whatever else, but better than I expected. Not dry, good. Not a fan of white chocolate, but have had much worse white chocolate. So this is good on Kale. Good for him or whoever put his name on it.
The green part, the odd green color is the only part that I really have struggled with. I think we still have either 1 or 2 left. I ate one the night they won a national championship just because I was like, oh.
Did you toast the screen?
No, I didn't.
Well, this is the day that Messenbruck won the Hodge Trophy. So there we go.
There we go.
Where you win it, do it when they win the national championship. I do it when a kid wins an individual honor. So, the green color is interesting.
Would you? I feel like I want like a sugar. I want like a rainbow sprinkle sugar cookie version, which I know isn't healthy, but like.
If they can make a rainbow cookie sugar version, I will pay an additional $5 for that sucker. I mean, just for the whole pack, because that doesn't seem possible to me.
It's not that I don't. Why didn't they do a peanut butter one? That's the other one.
I was just going to say the next one's going to be peanut butter, right? Like if you're thinking through the flavors, it can't be rainbow cookie sugar, but like peanut butter probably.
I think
molasses, like old school. Find a way to make a molasses cookie somewhat healthy.
Does it have, now that you've chewed on it?
I'm done.
It's a little bit of do you have I don't want to say it's not sandpaper because it's not a bad texture, but it's like a little bit of a gritty texture. Did you pick that up?
I'm not really getting that. I remember you said that before, but I'm not getting that in this one as much.
All right.
Because I was worried about that. I listened to what you said when you said it. But no, it's no, because it's not dry. Like you've had not enough butter, dry chocolate chip cookies that just kind of are too thick.
Yeah, that's
peanut
the
butter
worst.
Cookie that's too dry and too thick. This is a good cookie. So we'll wait to see what the third flavor. We were 6 months between flavors, right? Or 4 months when you got yours to now.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little while till we have another release, I bet.
Okay.
But we'll be here for you when that happens.
Yeah. This is our important investigative journalism. Is that milk or not milk?
Oh God, yes, milk. Yes.
Do you put milk in your Yeti?
Well, see, I had leftover milk for dinner. And I put it in the fridge to stay cold because I didn't drink it all. I didn't drink the whole thing of milk. And it's book club upstairs. And I knew I didn't want to leave where I was at to go to the refrigerator down here to get the milk. So I put it in my Yeti to stay cold. So I could have cold milk with my cookie. I'm here solving problems and you're making fun of me.
Make sure you wash it out, please.
Do you not wash your Yeti?
No, but just making sure.
What do you put in it?
Water.
Okay.
I don't
drink a lot of water. I'm not healthy that way. I'm not we went to Kenya, I drank water. Otherwise, my liquids are like tea, milk.
Genesee.
Alcohol. Yeah.
I have a nice Yingling tonight.
What is that?
It's a Yingling. Nice Yingling.
There you go. In a Yingling branded glass, too. It's like you're in Ireland.
Yeah. Nice. I use this one specifically when I have Yingling. Or we have the street map of State College. All right. That's this week's podcast. Thank you to Steve for buying more Kale's cookies. We will have the Hall of Fame this week. I don't know what else we'll have this week. We have an exciting announcement coming this week. Steve doesn't know about it, and he's not gonna know about it until it's announced.
That's great. I love that kind of announcement.
He loves that. there's that. Be on the lookout for that. Yeah, I don't know what else we'll write this week. We'll see. But if we do write something, the website is called stuffsummersays.com. On that website, there's a section called With
Steve.
5 stars, thumbs up. Appreciate all of that. Thanks to everybody that's been subscribing on the YouTube page in particular lately. We do definitely appreciate that, especially when we post about wrestling. Seems to be something you people like. So there's that. Then we've got emails. Mine's Darian at stuffsummersays.com. Steve's is Does He Takes a Drink?
Steve at stuffsummersays.com.
Almost got a...
I was at a Yale cookie and I forgot Yale cookie and I'm drinking out of a Yeti. This should be like a wrestling segment.
Where's your hat?
Sorry.
Where's your...
I know. Maybe I need to get a Yeti hat and then we'll be covered.
That is my goal this offseason, to dig into that. Anyways. Lastly, you can find me on the internet at Stuff Summer Says. You can find Steve
Steve Sampsell.
See ya. Bye.